It's been one of those days. You're sitting on the edge of the couch, phone face down on the coffee table, the room quieter than usual. Maybe work didn't go well. Maybe something heavier is sitting on your mind. You're not crying, just staring at nothing for a moment. Across the room, your dog has been watching, not running around, not asking to go outside, just quietly observing the shift in the room. Then they disappear down the hallway. You hear a few seconds of soft clattering, the sound of something being dragged across the floor, and suddenly, they're back, tail wagging gently, toy in their mouth. They walk straight up to you, drop it on your lap, and look up like they've just presented the most important object in the world. Most people laugh at this moment, but that simple gesture, your dog bringing you a toy when you're feeling low, may be doing something much deeper inside their brain. Most people interpret this moment in the simplest way. Your dog wants to play. Maybe they're bored. Maybe they just want attention. Or maybe the toy is their universal solution to every situation. Feeling sad? Here's a tennis ball. And sometimes that explanation seems good enough. But animal behavior researchers have noticed something interesting about this behavior. Dogs don't always bring toys randomly. Many times it happens specifically when their owner's mood changes, when someone is quiet, stressed, crying, or withdrawn. In other words, the toy often appears right after the emotional shift. That timing raises an important question. What if your dog isn't just trying to start a game? What if their brain has detected something about your emotional state and is trying to change it? In 2012, researchers at the University of London's Goldsmiths College ran a simple but revealing experiment. They asked dog owners to behave in two different ways while their dogs were present. In one condition, the owner hummed quietly. In another, the owner pretended to cry. The dogs were free to move around the room and respond however they wanted. What happened surprised the researchers. When the owner hummed, many dogs stayed where they were. Some looked briefly and then went back to exploring the room. But when the owner began crying, the pattern changed dramatically. Most of the dogs approached the person directly, even if the crying individual was a stranger rather than their own owner. They nudged, leaned against them, or placed their head close to the person's body. This behavior looked less like curiosity and more like social concern. Psychologists sometimes describe this as a form of emotional contagion, the ability of one individual to detect and internally mirror the emotional state of another. Human infants show a similar response. When a caregiver is distressed, the child often moves closer, seeking contact and interaction. Dogs appear to possess a version of this same attachment sensitivity, which means when your dog brings you a toy during a difficult moment, it may not be random playfulness. It may be their way of responding to a shift in your emotional state. When your dog notices that shift in your mood, something subtle begins happening inside their brain. Dogs are extremely sensitive to human emotional signals. They can detect changes in your voice, your posture, even tiny chemical cues in your scent when stress hormones rise. When that happens, their brain activates systems tied to social bonding and emotional regulation. One of the most important chemicals involved is oxytocin. Oxytocin is sometimes called the bonding hormone, but it's better understood as a social connection signal. When it rises in the brain, it strengthens attention toward important individuals and encourages behaviors that restore social harmony. In humans, oxytocin rises when we hug someone, comfort a child, or sit close to someone we care about. In dogs, something similar happens during interaction with their owners. Touching, eye contact, and cooperative play can all trigger oxytocin release in both species. This creates what researchers call a biological feedback loop. The dog's brain responds to the human responds to the dog, and both nervous systems begin calming each other. So when your dog drops a toy in your lap, they may be doing something surprisingly sophisticated. Play is one of the most powerful social regulators mammals have. It shifts attention, changes body posture, and encourages movement. In the brain, it can lower stress hormones while increasing bonding chemicals. From your dog's perspective, the toy isn't just a toy. It's a tool for resetting the emotional atmosphere between you. To understand why dogs would respond to human emotions like this, we have to go back thousands of years. Early dogs did not survive by living alone. They lived in tight social groups where cooperation was essential. Members of the group had to read each other constantly. Body posture, vocal tone, tension, relaxation. If one member of the group was distressed, it often affected everyone. Stress could signal danger, injury, or conflict nearby. Over time, animals that were better at detecting emotional shifts in others had an advantage. They could respond faster, support injured group members, and maintain cooperation. When dogs began living alongside humans around 15,000 years ago, that sensitivity didn't disappear. Instead, it expanded. Dogs that could read human emotions, fear, calmness, sadness, were better able to live inside human groups. They avoided conflict, responded to commands, and bonded more deeply with the people feeding and protecting them. In other words, dogs that understood us survived. So today, when your dog senses a shift in your mood and walks over with a toy, that behavior may reflect something ancient. A brain shaped by thousands of years of learning how to live inside the human emotional world. What makes this interaction remarkable is that it doesn't just help the dog maintain the bond. It can also change what's happening inside your brain. Studies in human-animal interaction show that when people engage in playful or affectionate contact with their dogs, the brain releases oxytocin and dopamine, chemicals associated with bonding, reward, and emotional regulation. Even brief play can shift the nervous system away from rumination and toward movement, attention, and connection. That's why many therapists use dogs in emotional support and trauma recovery settings. The dog isn't just offering companionship, it's helping the human brain reset its emotional state. So when your dog places that toy in your lap, they may be doing something surprisingly effective. Interrupting your stress and pulling you back into a shared social moment. Because this behavior is tied to emotional sensitivity, changes in it can sometimes reveal shifts in your dog's internal state. Dogs that bring toys during emotional moments are usually showing a healthy social response. Their brain is engaged with yours. They are reading your signals and trying to interact. But if a dog that once responded this way suddenly stops engaging, ignores emotional cues, or withdraws during moments when they used to approach, it may reflect something deeper. Sometimes stress, environmental changes, aging, or health discomfort can reduce a dog's motivation to interact socially. It doesn't automatically mean something is wrong, but dogs communicate emotional changes quietly. And when familiar social behaviors disappear, it's often their subtle way of telling us their internal world may be shifting. So the next time you're sitting quietly after a difficult day, and you hear the soft thump of paws returning down the hallway, your dog appears again, toy in their mouth. They drop it in your lap and look up, waiting. It may seem like a simple invitation to play, but inside their brain, something deeper may have happened first. they noticed the change in you. And in the only language they truly know, movement, play, connection, they tried to shift the emotional moment back towards something lighter. And if you've ever wondered why your dog sometimes leans their entire body against you, the neuroscience behind that behavior reveals an even deeper layer of the bond dogs share with humans.